All right, hey everybody, thanks for being here on time. I don't know if this has happened in your other classes, but this is the way things are going to be probably next semester going forward. Courses will be taught simultaneously to the online students and to the face-to-face. So we're trying to figure out the best way to capture the video. That's what we're doing. That's what the young man in the back is capturing this lecture. I'm trying to use Collaborate to see which one's the best. But I'll be posting those the next day after class, which may entice some of you to miss face-to-face class, but that's not going to happen because you signed up for face-to-face and I expect you to be here. I know things happen and it's just a class or two, but I got better things to do than walk in here at 6:30 at night and talk to the camera by myself. Ain't going to happen. Okay? I don't have it built into the syllabus or anything like that, but I can make your life miserable if I want to. And I don't want to. I don't think it'll be an issue, but that's what's going on with the camera in the back here. See how it goes. You know, we don't have all that long. We've got an hour and 15 minutes, 2 nights a week. And I want to use the course shell so that when you come here, you can utilize me as much as possible. Because the way I view this course, this is intended for you to display your competencies in theory on all the stuff you've learned up to here. Congratulations if you're a senior. I hope most of you are a senior, just barely. I'm going to be a facilitator or a consultant for you to develop your deliverables. And basically what that's going to be is you're going to create a hypothetical company, construction company. You're going to develop an estimate, a work plan, safety plan, all that kind of stuff, QA/QC plan, stuff like that, which should make it all fit together. This is the closest thing we have that emulates the real world. And I hope you look forward to it. I can't think of a better class I would rather teach or be associated with, because I'm here because I like this stuff. And you know, I think back when I was your age, but I'd be excited, and I would have been. So hopefully, you know, you're in the right major, and this isn't just work to you. It's going to be very similar to the competition. So we've got 3 folks in here that were in a competition just last semester, and I think they'll tell you that it was kind of a pain in the butt, but when it's all said and done, they're glad they did it. Maybe they'll not say that when I'm not around, I don't know, but that's typically been my experience. So the difference here is we have regular meeting times, and you basically have twice the time to get this done versus the guys that were on the competition team only had, I don't know, go ahead, 8 weeks tops. And you know, we missed away at least 2 of those. But that's kind of the plan. Now, unfortunately, the way our curriculum is set up, I know some of you are in core competency courses in conjunction with this one, and that's an issue. But it is what it is. I doubt if I can talk any of you into deferring. But we've made a lot of changes that have not shown up yet in the curriculum, just so you know. Capstone is really supposed to be the last thing we do. And we redesigned the entire curriculum. It's at the academic council right now. And the only construction course that's slated for the final semester of senior year is this one. Everything else is for like estimating 2 is now estimating 1 is a 200 level course. Planning and scheduling is a 200 level course. Estimating 2 is a 300 level. So you missed that route. You missed that. And so utilize me and your teammates where you're weak. But that's the way we have to plan for these. And that's really what the purpose of this course is to try to make all these separate classes come together somehow. There's everything from management to cost engineering skills to construction science. Construction science to me are things like statics and springs, materials, soils course. That kind of gets into some civil engineering, science type stuff. But anyway, our degree is a mixture of quite a few different competencies. And the one I'm strongest on is the cost stuff. And so that's probably what I'm going to emphasize. I've added some stuff. I want to go through some of the things in the website. So this is kind of a reorientation, but please take note. What you can do here, you go to Getting Started, where it says Meet Your Instructor. My resume and my work experience is up there. So that's what qualifies me to deliver this class to you. Besides I have a master's degree, 25 years experience, and I've been here 11 years. So, I've also opened up a week 2 folder here. And it says the objectives for this week are understand corporate business functional areas. What we're going to do at the beginning is come up with a hypothetical construction company. You'll do this with your team, but I want you to learn this individually without a team. We give you a bunch of stuff to think about. All that stuff is in the shell. We'll show you where it is, how you can access it. So number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of those are really about designing a corporation that delivers construction projects. And you've got to do that before you can do the other deliverables. Why is that? Why do we have to do that? There you go. So there's 2 types of overhead, for instance. So if you're going to give me an estimate on a project, you won't know what home office overhead to charge unless you know something about the company that you're working with. So hopefully that'll make that one. I'm not real big on business, but I'm going to ask you to do a balance sheet, go through those motions. I've got some reference links. Basically, it shouldn't be too bad. Again, you'll have to make some assumptions. There's home office overhead, which has to do with the corporation. And then there's project overhead that's specific to each project that the corporation delivers. So that's what we're doing. Let me go into another part of the website. Here where it says references. Every week, I'm going to give you some glossary terms. We're going to have a quiz every week, probably open on Friday, end on Sunday night. And a lot of it will be glossary terms. So I think in the past we've kind of neglected the importance of what some of these terms mean that you need to know when you go out there, that you understand what I'm saying when I say it. So some of the quiz stuff may be just kind of glossary stuff. It depends on what we cover. there's a great big document here called Recommended Practice 10S-90. You can download it right there. It's a huge document. I don't expect you to get in there and read it from front to back because I think if you printed it out, it's 200 or 300 pages. So it's something that you hit Control F in the PDF with, and look up terms that are associated with something. Like this evening, I put in the word functional for functional areas, and I hit a bunch of words. And about 3 of them, I put in a glossary. But it's really for looking up terms, that kind of thing. This is a website which I'm going to show you just a minute. And this is what's called recommended practices. So last week you looked at the total cost management framework, which we're going to talk about all semester. These recommended practices are linked to that TCM framework. This is the table of contents of the web version of the TCM framework. And as you learned last week, it starts off talking about organizational stuff, and then it gets down to project level. If you didn't know that, it starts out talking about organization, how they handle their assets. Right? And if we're a construction organization, one of our assets is projects. For some companies, that's their only means of revenue. Most construction companies don't do anything but build projects. Their revenue comes from those projects. That's not true of all companies. Some of them sell materials. Some of them sell they have other streams of income besides the project. But a project is an asset, all right, for a building organization. And if you look in your PDF version, you can also get access to this web version if you just register with AACE. I don't think it costs anything. And I like navigating on this a lot better than that in PDF. But that's up to you. But starting with Chapter 7, you can see it says project control process. And a lot of the stuff we're going to do is down in Chapter 7, mainly in there. But the recommended practices are linked to these chapters. So if I go back to these recommended practices, and again, this will be there'll probably be 1 or 2 to read a week. That will probably be the balance of the quiz material. So glossary terms and something in a recommended practice. It's related to what you need to do and what we're talking about. This week there's just one. It has to do with organizational breakdown structures and responsibility matrices. I'll show you that in a minute. But I think when you go to this reference folder and you click on this link here, it opens up a deal, and you can download all of these at once into a folder. So if you use a PC, if you have a laptop or whatever you're doing, you can download those. And I've also put an index in there. But what I did a minute ago, there's a lot of them. I extracted them from AACE International's website and put them here so you don't have to do the login thing on that website. And I also put an index in here for you. So there's probably 20 or 30 recommended practices here. And when I downloaded this, it just downloaded the first page's worth. So here's a little trick. I have to say, show all. See that? If I say show all, then those are all the files. Otherwise, it had it on multiple pages. So they're all PDFs, except down at the bottom is a little spreadsheet, and I put the titles and the numbers so you can navigate around. You see, these file names don't tell you what it is. And so now that I said show all, let's see, if I click right up here, I think that puts right next to this little box next to the file type, that checks them all, and I'll come down here and say download package, and it's downloaded it there. Depending on your internet connection, it shouldn't take too long. They're not real big files. Somewhere where I can find it. So let me open the spreadsheet. It's called RP Index. It's just a simple spreadsheet with the RP number and the name. So if you download that, you've got all these files in a folder, and this tells you what they are. So the first one there, well, it's not the first one. Maybe I didn't put it in the index, NS90, you should. Let me go ahead and open that and show you. They don't call it a glossary, they call it cost engineering terminology. You can see that it pertains to all sections. Last updated November a year ago. Or last November. And 120 pages for the PDF. But it's a great reference, whether you had this course or not. All right, so that's the recommended practices in the reference section of the website. There's some stuff here about financial statements. We'll talk more about that probably Thursday. So these are just things I'm putting in here. This is a folder of different, probably web links and things I found. There's some spreadsheets and templates that you can grab and start using right away once you figure out what this is and how you want to build it. Responsibility metrics, which is a tool that will help your team figure out who's going to do what. So don't be intimidated by the acronyms or any of that type of stuff. Questions so far? And speaking of questions, I expect you to ask a lot of them, especially once we start getting into developing the deliverables. I can see one session being the sessions in a few weeks being just Q&A. Because I'm going to review some things like estimating tests. I'm not going to go over that whole course content. There's another RP. I'm not requiring you to read it. It's 11R88, but you may want to look at it anyway. And it's required skills and knowledge of cost engineering. At one time, we had all of our courses mapped to these competencies. They have it split up between supporting skills and knowledge and process and functional skills and knowledge. What do you think the difference is? column over on the right should look familiar. That's that TCM framework, all right? So all those boxes with the arrows and all that, that's called workflow process. And this business is very linear in one sense. You've got to have work breakdown structure before you can do a schedule or an estimate. Well, that's linear. That's a process. It's a process function. You've got to do certain things before you can get to the end. Now, a lot of it is iterated, right? Like the plan, do, assess, plan, do, measure, assess. Hopefully it's part of RED or TCM. Now, that's an iterated process. So part of your project, may be just launching, and part of it may be finishing up. So it's just a big circle in the end. Especially after you complete the project, you're going to start another project. You're going to start another project. And hopefully you're capturing knowledge, right, from one project to the other. So if you ask any builder, you ask Roy Anderson if they could build Century Center again the second time, could they do better? I tell you, yeah. You'd be foolish. Anyone that's smart is going to say, yeah, give me another chance, I'll build it better. So as you go through your career, the experience that you get project to project to project is a knowledge base getting built in your head. Things not to do, things to do. That's why some of the old parts are making big bucks. Right? Now, these days, you're supposed to get that knowledge in your head down into some kind of database that everybody can access and make use of. Probably doesn't happen a whole lot yet still, but it's a big waste if you have someone that works for your company for 10 or 15 years, and they go get another job and walk out with 10 or 15 years of knowledge that they gained right at your expense. And that's a big loss. I would call that an asset loss. I don't know what TCM would. But people are, in my opinion, the biggest assets you have. Anyway, the new trend, it'll happen in your lifetime. It didn't happen in mine. In my career, it's companies are building knowledge bases. When projects conclude, they're having debriefs, they're capturing lessons learned, stuff like that. I mean, it's simple. It's not great big 0 and 1 database black box stuff. I mean, it's and that's part of the intention of all this BIM stuff, right? And BIM is just a tool, but I call it virtual design and construction, VDC. And that takes that principle of you can always build a project better a second time. What they're doing is they're building the project virtually in the computer over and over and over again until they work out all the keys that they know of. Then they go do it in physical space, in the real world. And I guarantee you, it's proving to be second, third, fourth chances of building the same project. You just do it virtually first, virtual reality, and then go do it in the real world. That's slicker than snot. Didn't have that when I was going through the industry. We had constructability reviews and value engineering, and that stuff still exists. It's just that you do it virtually now instead of at a later time than my generation. But anyway, skills and knowledge of cost engineering. Let's do this. These are things that you should know. Doesn't mean that you should know them all now. Your value is not when you graduate. Your value is once you've got 5 or 6 years experience. All right? Then you can start, and if you do well, and have a good track record, then you can can start holding out for more compensation. Right now, you just raw meat, you get pushed out into the industry. Half of them can't wait to chew you up. But it'll be a good ride. It's fun. I enjoyed my career in construction business. All right, so recommended practices. And there's some other things I talked about, virtual design and construction. That's not incorporated into this class yet. So we're going to make an assumption that the corporation that you're involved in is not going to be design build. Right? And this is a design, bid, build, deliver. If you don't know what that means, I have some slides. You better learn pretty quick. It means design is 100% complete in theory before you're handed contract documents. It's totally different in design build, right? So design gets started, subcontract documents get started, preliminary estimates go through different, even the estimating is different in design build, much different. And we're assuming that those two things, that we're a company that does not design but delivers construction projects, and that this is a design, bid, build scenario. In a few years, we should have BDC. Just don't have the resources to do that yet. Because, by the way, I was telling you about some of the curriculum changes that we're making. Besides renumbering some of the courses to put them down at a lower level, if you were seniors 4 years from now, you would have about 3 more CAD classes than you have now. Right? So when I get seniors from that new curriculum, they're going to have CAD skills, and I don't have to have architecture students in here, and we can do design build, BDC, whole 9 yards. That's some of the other changes we'll make. And then some of the architecture students are having to take more of our classes as well. So those two disciplines are kind of getting mixed up pretty good in this BDC. So you're going to be, chances are, depending on what segment of the industry you go into, chances are you're going to be working with designers a lot more than my generation. And that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Questions on that?
We decided to do something, we got extra time for a presentation, that we consider direction correct.
The question is, if you go and do something beyond what I require, deliverables, will I give you extra credit? It depends on how much you blow me away with it. I assume you're talking about a 3D model.
I would never talk about that.
Would that be right? I'll definitely take it into consideration if anyone's on the line between grades, that kind of thing. I don't have that built into the syllabus. Really can't give you that because some teams won't have the means to do it. But I would say, if you do have the means to create a 3D model, that will decrease the takeoff time for the estimate of delivery. So the time, the elbow grease that you put into building a 3D model, which you'll have to build from 2D drawings, you'll have to re-engineer it into 3D. You're basically doing a takeoff. So 3D model will give you your form. Maybe you want to learn how to do that yourself. Maybe you want to find someone to help you with it. I don't have a problem with that. If you have abundance in architecture, that's fine. So I don't know if that answers your question. Another thing that I want you to think this class, how many of you have a job lined up already? Less than half. So hopefully you have a strategy for gaining employment. It won't just happen. We're not Texas A&M, University of Florida, where construction companies line up outside the door. There's plenty of folks looking. There's as good a companies as any school that look here, but it ain't just going to happen by osmosis. You've got to be proactive and let them know they're going. And one thing, as you're going through this class and these deliverables, I know it's possible. When I was an undergraduate, remember I graduated in '87, an undergraduate degree, and I was 27 years old. And I already worked in the field. If you look at my credentials and getting started, you'll see. But we didn't have a senior capstone. We had, the degree was 139 credit hours, but we didn't have a course like this. And I knew what I was good at in the field, but I got the degree to get out of the field, really, be middle management. I thought I wanted to be a project manager. I like being outside, I like going from job to job. You know, about the time you get sick of a project, you finish the punch list, you go do it, and it was fun. I was young. And what happened to me was the economy was really bad in '87. It was as bad as it was here from, say, '09 to right about now. Things are picking up, so your timing is good right now. I see a lot of activity locally, nationally, and internationally. You should be thinking the whole world if you're not tied down. That's something that interests me. I didn't think the whole world was going to do it, but now we've got students overseas. Again, most of you know this, but making 6 figures, tax-free, and they're housed. They're not paying for a place to live or food. Pretty good deal. You can go anywhere in the world if you want to. It's acceptable now. The conference I was at last week, in fact, I'm getting off on tangents, I'll pull it back, but what I found out at the conference in DC was that Europe is ahead of the US in virtual design and construction. And the British want to be the best, and they want to come over and take jobs away. They want to compete in the US market. So, if I was you, I'd find out what are the biggest construction companies in Britain and apply. They come over here, they need some locals. So there's all kinds of opportunities like that that you should keep track of. In fact, if you're not familiar with it already, if you're seniors, you should be checking out ENR.com. This is kind of the Time Magazine or Newsweek of the construction business. It's owned by McGraw-Hill, and you can find out what's going on in the construction business, both nationally and internationally, by going to this site. They put out a magazine, I believe it's weekly, and you can read the magazine when it's new. A week later, if you miss it, then you have to have a subscription to go backwards and see it. But you don't have to spend anything. I would be familiar with this site, find out what's going on. For free, you can find out the 400 largest contractors in the world, 400 largest contractors in the United States, the largest design firms in the United States, the largest CM firms. They rank them. So there's a strategy for your employment right there, if you're interested. I didn't have a senior capstone, and I didn't really know what I was good at inside the office. And the economy was bad, and I had to leave the state to get a job, which I did in Washington, D.C. And an estimating office hired me. And I didn't have good experience with my estimating course at Oklahoma State, where I got my bachelor's degree. But there wasn't much to pick from, and I grabbed it. And I wasn't necessarily any good at it. I don't know why they didn't fire me after 2 weeks. But what I found out was and I'm not necessarily a math expert either, which you need to have considerable math skills to be a good estimator. What I found out at that time, the personal computer was just emerging in the office. I said, man, if I know how to use this computer, specifically spreadsheets, imagine no spreadsheets. Most of you don't use them like you've done. 2 years from now, you'll use spreadsheets every day. I figured out, man, I'll have to be good on the spreadsheet in my work. And then no one knew anything about personal computers. So I saved up some money and bought a computer. It was like $34,000 for something not even close to as good as this. But anyway, I learned about databases and how to use a computer. And that gave me an edge, especially in estimating, because you have to capture a lot of data, use it over again. Databases are kind of a big deal in estimating. They're a big deal everywhere, but especially estimating spreadsheets. And I kind of rode that personal computer wave all the way through my career. And that's similar to what you can do with virtual design and construction. I just want to be sure when you leave here that you've got the basic skills, estimating, scheduling, QAQC, safety. I just want you to be solid. You'll have that confidence after this class to go out in the world's your oyster. But as you go through this class, I'm wondering if you can self-evaluate what your gifts are. Every one of you has strong points and weak points. Every human is a unique individual. And some of us are good at math, some aren't. Some are good at writing, some aren't. Some are people persons, some aren't. So keep your eye out to something that you think you might be good at. Oh, I'm really good at scheduling. This comes naturally to you. And all your other teammates are struggling. That might mean you have a gift for that area. And if you do, like it, point your career towards that job role. There's nothing better than getting out of bed in the morning and liking what you do, looking forward to going to work. And the opposite is pure hell. Anyway, I don't know if that's possible or not, but keep it in the back of your mind. Can you discover your gift? Because we'll be doing a lot of different things in here that take different skills. But that's why you're in a team. I think I'm going to make 4-person teams. I think it works out fine with the enrollment. We've got 21 or so students online, in addition to you all. And what I think I'm going to have you do, for a couple of reasons, brush off your resume. If you don't have a resume, you need to make one quickly. And I think I'm going to have everyone in this section and the online section post that resume. And when you're looking for team members, that might help. We'll see. Remember, the folks online are professionals. So you might find somebody online that's got 15, 20 years in business. They've been managing projects that long. They just don't have an academic credential. So you might want to think about team members, the online folks. We got some really studly folks in the online part of the program. So one of the things I'm asking you to do is get a resume. You're going to need it if you're senior. And if you don't have one, slap one together as best you can, and we'll critique it and give you feedback on it so you can get it cleaned up for real use. Okay. It's important. That's the way you present yourself anonymously to someone who's never seen you. And, I have a lot of ideas about it. You get career services, ideas, other people's. Questions on any of that?
So we can see other people online?
Yeah. What I'm going to do, I think I've told everyone, this is my first delivery of this course. You know, I've taught Estimating 1, Estimating 2, Project Control, Scheduling, and other courses. But, you know, this one has some unique things. I haven't figured it all out yet. What I'm going to try this time, and then I'll have the lessons learned for the next course. I think I'm going to let you form your own teams, give a time period there, and if someone's having trouble, then I'll just team with people that aren't teamed up yet. That's my plan at this time. Does that answer your question? And then finally, the other thing that some of this AACE stuff, you're going to get exposed to it pretty good. That's just one professional organization that's creating those documents. Those are created not by academics. Those are created by people out in the field that do it. Those are created by people that have done it for 30 years. And I value that more than anything an academic would put out. You know, this is a unique degree. It's about application. Yeah, it's about science, it's about academic stuff, but it's about application of that science. That's why it's called technology. It's not a pure science like engineering. Or, you know, you can get a degree in material science at the state. You know, I'll call you a civil engineer or something else. This is about applying the science to build facilities. Lost my train of thought. Oh, so AACE is just one of many professional organizations. Does anyone know some other? No. What do professional organizations do? What are they for?
Collaboration.
Some. I'm telling you this to give you an edge. Because I didn't take advantage of it when I was your age. Professional organizations are for when you know, there's some people when they graduate college, if they read a book during their career in college, they don't ever open another one again unless it's Stephen King or something, right? But the business is so technical now. It's a lot more technical than when I went through. If you don't keep your skills up, you're going to get left behind. So professional organizations are for continuous lifelong learning. And the other thing you can do to give you credit for doing that is you can get certification. Now, some people want licensure. And there is no licensure for construction management at this time. What professions are licensed? Engineers, doctors, lawyers, land surveyors, accountants, you know, CPA. Those are professional licenses. If you're a lawyer, you got to pass the bar exam before you can practice law. If you're a civil engineer, you got to get a PE before you can stand plans. It's a pretty good system. Well, if you're licensed, it's not a forever deal. We were talking about driver's licenses before, right? They expire. Well, so do professional licenses. And you have to do so many continuing education credits within a period of time, 3 to 4 years, or you've got to sit down and take the bar exam again. So that's kind of what fuels professional organizations. And I would tell you that once you get this bachelor's degree, the most important thing after that is experience. And about 4 years out of here, after you have your degree, you'll be eligible for certifications. And AACE International is not the only professional organization that offers them. AACE has certifications in estimating, which I hold that certification. They have planning and scheduling. I think I'm going to sit for that pretty soon. They have various ones. But there's other ones. Project Management Institute is very popular. PMI. They have great stuff. The only thing about PMI is they're not specific to construction. Because project management makes the whole world go around. If you work for a software company, you have projects. And you might walk into a construction software company and meet Albert Snodgrass. He's the project manager on the web project. There's Construction Management Association of America. There's Design Build Institute. There's another estimating professional society. So I really would encourage you to think about that. And about 4 years out of school, you'll be ready to maybe start get back into it. But your generation is going to have to really jump on this stuff. There'll be a lot of competition, not only within the U.S., but I told you Europe's coming. It's a lot. There's a lot more people now than when I was in the business. It's crazy. You don't know the world like you're in. There's a lot less people, a lot less traffic. You think it's funny, but I'm like, wow, I think I lived this long. Here I am, 54. Spooky number. So, certifications. Also, there's a link here for the syllabus. Were there any questions about the syllabus?
The syllabus, it says you have to have a B or higher to pass the course. On the lecture that you have, it says C.
If I have a B in here, it's wrong. We have a seawall for everything but general education courses. So anything with BCT, APC, ACT, prefix, C or better. So I'll make that correction. That's what I have. Someone else has asked that, so I know I've got it mistaken. Appreciate that. And this is this is the great stuff. It looks complicated, but it's basically from the organizational structure down to the final report. Those are just the deliverables, right? The components of the deliverables, slap them all together. That's the final report, right? The presentation, that's going to be probably something you video and give to me. I'm not going to make the whole class sit through a bunch of presentations. I'd rather spend the time being your consultant, helping you get some deliverables out. We're only talking about 5 to 10 minute deal. How long do we have it? Yeah, it's hard to be short. I mean, by the time you get these things rolled out, you're going to want to tell everybody everything about it. You're going to know a lot about it. Putting it into less than 10 minutes, tough. And then the rest is your team's going to grade you, and then the quizzes. And I put that in there because I really want you to get those glossary terms in your head. I want you to read the RPs, and that's just leverage to make you good. You know how y'all are. You know how I look. So I don't think there's The other thing I haven't embraced completely, you know, I'm just being honest with you. In the past, in this course, the students have had to go out and find their projects, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to give you a set of contract documents to each team, and there's only going to be 2 projects. So I kind of want to know, I don't want to have to deal with 15 different projects, and, you know, are you doing this work accurately or not? I can get my brain around, you know, 2 projects fair enough to know whether you're in left field or, you know, you're in there. So definitely would be a temptation to share work with others. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to curb the grades in this class. Right? So if you want to share information with someone else, I probably won't catch you, and I'm not going to try to stop you. But you're giving them an advantage that you probably shouldn't give them. Don't drag it on the curb. Take care of your team, yourself, and let everybody else handle their own business. That's my thought. But the other thing, I don't have my, I would have liked to have had a bunch of deals with software companies and that kind of thing, and I'm kind of putting it up to you as to what software you use. Doesn't mean I can't make something happen in the next week or so. I'm going to specify that scheduling software BCT400, different from Microsoft Project. The estimating, you can use spreadsheets if you want. Spreadsheets are adequate to get by, but they're not the ideal tool to create estimates. Why is that? Make mistakes, and if you're estimating with a spreadsheet, really know how to estimate, it's going to be a pretty sophisticated spreadsheet. And if it breaks, it's a pain in the butt to find out what's broken and where that break has affected everything else. We have a deal with one software company that I'll make you aware of for estimating if you want to use it. Maybe we'll have 2 options by then. Definitely we can use spreadsheets if you want. And then collaboration software. Let's say you have, you know, the people that are online are going to have to collaborate, and they are all over the U.S. And if you have an online student on your team, obviously there's going to need to be some type of collaboration software. And I think you have to verify it, maybe with your help. I think we can use the collaborate tool in here. If I just set up a room for your team, you all can go to it, and it's just like Skype. So that will work. I just have not done this before. I haven't tested it out before now.
There is a Blackboard chat that you use.
That's different though, right? That's more like
it's video.
It's more instant messaging, right?
You can instant message or put the microphone in and talk about the phone.
Nice.
But there's no video.
Well, what Collaborate does, it allows you to share your screen. So if you want to show somebody on your team what you've done or that kind of thing. And we'll talk about you know, the online sites if y'all don't use them. How many of y'all use Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive? Some of you, we can go over that. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I want to go over with you. If you have never used those tools, that can be really helpful. You can put something, you can put a document up there, and everybody can be working on it at the same time. It works pretty good. So those are some of the fine details that we'll have to work out in the next few weeks. Questions? Let's do it on time. We've got about 15, 20 minutes left. So I didn't plan my session very well. I have a lot more to deliver, but I can spill over until Thursday. You know, that's the other thing. You know, by next week, I'll have hard dates set for the deliverables. But depending on how we all do, it may shift a little bit. Not a lot, but some. So, I'm not trying to be lazy, I'm just trying to be flexible. Let me start out talking about construction companies and how they're structured. You've probably seen this before, and I'm just using materials from classes that I've taught. I haven't created these slides for this course, but hopefully you may have seen them, but didn't really internalize them, something of that nature. Let's talk about designing your hypothetical construction company. If you look at my resume or my work history, I actually got to do this in the real world. A millionaire called me and said, I've got $30 million, I'm going to lose it to taxes, I want to start a construction company from scratch and be the first employee. So I actually did this in the real world. But there's certain things that have to be, certain functions that have to be completed in your construction company that delivers facilities, builds facilities. And it doesn't matter whether you're big or small, you've got to do those things, period. If you're gonna build construction projects and get paid for it. So, if you graduate in December and go up to Jackson and start a company called Birdcage Construction, and your assets are yourself, your pickup truck, toolbox in your pickup truck, you're a construction company, and you have to do all of these functions. So the organizational chart is real simple. It's one square with your name on it, and that's all. You're doing it all. Or, you know, you've heard it. You know, wear all the hats. Right? If you have 10,000 employees, you still have to do those same functions. They typically sprout off into departments, or they sprout off into regional areas, that kind of thing. And those are business management, accounting, estimating, project management, equipment management, construction, and engineering. And there's one, this is a little dated. I haven't updated these in several years. There's one more that I would add now. Anyone have an idea what it would be? What's that? It wouldn't be BIM, but very close. It would be IT. Information technology. And so that would be everything from phones, radios, computers, networks, all of that. It's a huge thing. Much bigger than it used to be. That's really probably another functional area of construction. What you see in smaller firms is they don't want to hire those people with those competencies full time, so they will outsource it to a third party. And my understanding understand why they're doing that, but if you're not careful, you become a slave to that third party. Your network breaks down and your accounting system needs to post payroll that day, and they can't come out until you're calling Monday morning, and they can't come out until Wednesday afternoon. You're kind of screwed. So I know it adds to overhead, but if I was forming a construction company right now, I would have specialized IT people in it. But the business management are basically, their main function is strategic planning of the company. That was one of the things I did before I came here. Companies would hire me, the company that I worked for, to help them do strategic planning. If you don't have a strategic plan, and I would guess, I haven't done a poll on this, I would bet 30 to 40% construction companies out there don't have a strategic plan. They think they do. It's something that's slapped on a piece of paper 4 years ago. But I'm talking about a plan that is visited every quarter, either by the executives in the company or the board of directors, and it's a living document because the forces, the exterior and interior forces are always changing. And a construction company it basically looks like this through a couple of decades. Right? When the economy gets good, you get big. When it gets really lean and mean, like it has been from like 09 to 13 or 14, and you get lean. If you don't die completely. I don't know if y'all know, but like around here, what started happening local construction companies in 09, 10, 11, what? A bunch of them went out of existence. Other ones got bought out, and some survived. And I would bet you my paycheck, the ones that survived had a serious strategic plan. They know about that concept. Anyway, that's what the executives are in the big money for. And that's what the business management function is for. Also, business development. What does that mean? Business development. Second. Yes. You said stuff that keeps your company moving forward. Let me give you an example. I was doing strategic planning for a company in upstate New York right before I came here. They had an excellent business development manager. And what that person did, when they read something in the news like Albany's the state capital of New York, they'd read something in the paper, legislature is thinking about creating a tax-free zone for industries. This business development person would go to the state capitol, find out who was involved in that initiative. Is it going to go through, or if it already been passed? It may be passed by the legislature, but it's not going to be implemented for 2 or 3 or 4 years. Well, they're going to find out exactly what it entails. It may entail a bunch of new development. And they're getting in and taking those people out to lunch, finding out who's going to be involved. And by the time 3 or 4 years comes in, they already know all these people. They're on the ground floor of getting that work, and they did an excellent job of that. Excellent. So construction companies, once they start to scale, right? Once you're beyond your single pickup in your toolbox and you start growing, you grow to, something, over a certain size, you start thinking about business development. So you be thinking downstream, you'll have an edge, you know what's coming. And that's why I want you to read ENR, because ENR is going to tell you some of the things that are coming, some of the world that you're going to jump out into in a few months. Obviously, leadership, human resources is a big deal. You know, we have to have people both hourly in the field and salaried. So human resources, as you start to scale, becomes a big deal. That's all part of the business management functional area. There's accounting. Hopefully you know what that is. Tax compliance. You got to have payroll periodically, either weekly or bi-weekly. The construction business, typically for the field, it's weekly. I don't know too many things about it. Accounts receivable, accounts payable. You got to pay your bills. You got to get paid. Estimating. You got to develop proposals and get work. Project management is implementation in the field. Person, the functional area that manages that. Now, depending on the industry segment that you're in, if you're in commercial construction, equipment management may not be that big of an area. But I've been watching, the nursing building go up. That's a commercial contractor, and there's considerable equipment being used over there. And I'm not talking about probably what they subbed out for the airport. But obviously, if you're in heavy civil construction, that functional area is going to be much bigger than if you're a landscape contractor. No, actually, a landscape contractor would have a lot of equipment. Hopefully, you understand what I'm saying. Construction, that would be your project supervision, trades coordination. Think of superintendents differently than project management. So the superintendent has a PhD in the real world and how things go together. The project manager is doing slightly different things, quite different things. Right? So project management and construction are two separate things. And then engineering is things like survey and layout. Depending on what you do, public works, you have to measure your quantities for every pay period, for instance. So I had a job for a company, and my whole job all day was to go around different projects and measure what they completed so we could pay. It took me a lot of money to do it. And then any kind of drawings, that's probably where you're, some construction companies want a licensed professional on staff. Why would they want to do that? Why would a construction company need a PE on staff? Possibly. Let's say you're involved in a lot of concrete work. You go watch anything over at the nursing building. You see all that false work? I'm talking about structures that hold up forms. You can't just put those out. They have to be stamped by an engineer. So they withstand the static loads. So a lot of times they'll bring on a professional engineer. He can stamp drawings for false work, form work, things of that nature. Yeah.
You started about public water, wages, so I think good thing about the Davis-Bacon.
Davis-Bacon is the law that establishes the minimum wage scale on public works projects. Yes.
That's way up.
Now, the private sector is affected by that. So it does have an effect on the private sector. And that gets into some political stuff too. It's related to, originally it was tied to union wages. So they would do a survey of union wages in an area, come up with those Davis-Bacon wage rates. Remember when that law was passed, unions were probably 40 to 50% of the craft workers in the United States. Now it's probably less than 10%. You may or may not remember when Katrina came through, President Bush, I'm trying to think of the word, disable the data statement policy. Basically, there was no minimum that you had to pay workers for cleanup and reconstruction and that kind of thing. What's the word I can't find in my head? Suspended data statement. Thank you very much. Yeah, that actually happened. So the other thing, I'll let you look at these slides, but you know, the big deal is, and this is the hard part for construction companies, is all of these functional areas have to exchange information. And if you don't have good computer network skills, software skills, then you end up recreating the same information in each place, which is totally inefficient. You should be able to create the data or capture the data one time and use it over and over and over. And that's what I made my living. These construction companies are not good at this. That's what my living was before I came. You know, again, if you're a one-person company, it's easy to keep it all in your head, and you're sitting there with QuickBooks, your PC, your schedule, no big deal. But once you start to grow, once you get a certain size, it'll kick you in the rear end. You know what you're doing. Again, another reason why I think IT should be a business function. The other thing in here, we'll pick this up. I'm trying to show in some of these other diagrams, like here's data that construction sends to project management. Here's information that construction sends to the other functional areas, just to give you an idea if you don't have an idea. And then the other thing I want you to look at before we look at this slide set before we meet on Thursday. These are functional roles. These are functional roles, all right? So if you're one person in the construction company, you're going to do all the roles. Right? But as you scale, you've got to find other people to do those functions. Those functions are the squares in the TCM, the workflow process. The tasks that have to be done for the business, right, are the things that people in these roles do. And here is a functional role chart that's color-coded by functional area or business function. And you're going to need something like this to create hypothetical construction company. We'll take it the rest of the way on Thursday. But please look through these slides and bring your questions. And we'll take up from there. I think it's about time. Questions before we cut? We've got to do it pretty quick. And I'm guessing later in the week, over the weekend, into next week. But within the next 2 weeks, probably soon. I want to get through this material with each person and then do the teams. And the first thing the teams will do is figure out what do we want our company to be about, how do we want to deliver projects, and what kind of format should we have. So a little bit of study on this, and then we'll take on. Good question. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Great.